Hey guys, I hope you're all having a great day, and today we basically got confirmation on some of the map changes we've been expecting for Kings Canyon, and then after that I'll talk about some important info regarding third parties and how it seems like Respawn is sort of dealing with that issue. So without further ado, let's just get right into the video. The first thing we want to talk about is Skulltown, the most well-known POI in all of Apex. It has legendary status and it's also getting changed, quite drastically I must add. Here, take a look at this footage right here. If you haven't seen it before, well, this might come as a bit of a shock to you, but this is what Skulltown looks like now. At least this is what it's going to look like after the map changes get applied to Kings Canyon. As you can see, this is pretty drastic. I'll show an image of the original Skulltown up on screen right now, and you can see that not only is the size different, but a bunch of things got removed, or for example, like the skull, it's actually changed positions. Now here is the interesting thing, because Josh Medina, a dev working at Respawn, tweeted this, and essentially this confirms that we're going to be getting Skulltown back in Season 13. Now of course in the image it's showing the original Skulltown, but this is probably not going to be the case, as we're most likely going to be seeing these map changes get applied. At least that's what I think is going on. Now it is still possible that Josh Medina might simply be referring to Skulltown coming back as a sort of control mode, or perhaps yet another arenas map, but since there's only a total of like 7 players who play that, my guess is that they're most likely going to be introducing it for a game mode like control, or perhaps for other future game modes such as capture the flag or team deathmatch. Now this is where it gets pretty interesting, because I do think that the idea of introducing Skulltown back as a sort of team deathmatch mode makes a lot of sense, and let me explain why. If you go ahead and take a look at the new Skulltown, it's very symmetric as compared to the original Skulltown, where certain sides of Skulltown would give you a larger advantage over the enemy team. This new version of Skulltown makes it so that if you and your team are fighting against an enemy team and you both spawn on the opposite sides of Skulltown, well, it's a lot more balanced. The skull, which gives you high ground, is in the middle. Those large buildings that give you a lot of high ground and a lot of ways to maneuver and play around the enemy have been removed. The center of Skulltown is simply supply bins. The design definitely shows that they have the intention of introducing Skulltown back in the form of one of these game modes at some point in the future, so I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they do introduce this as a control map, a team deathmatch map, or something like that at some point. Whether or not that's actually going to be what's happening in Season 13, or if it's simply going to be a map change that is applied to Kings Canyon, well, that isn't 100% at the moment, but at least we can look forward to one of our favorites coming back into the game. Now moving on to the second topic of today's video, and I think I mentioned this a couple of times in the past, but I just wanted to clarify on a couple of things here. Once again, I do believe Respawn is moving more in the direction of limiting RNG in Apex, and I did talk about this yesterday as well, but they are adding in things such as new items that allow the RNG in Apex to be sort of suppressed. And honestly, that's a pretty good thing. Having whether or not you win the game be less dependent on simply luck, well, of course that's something that we all want. But even with all these changes, there still comes one very big problem. That is third parties. And you might be thinking, well, of course that's a problem. It's super annoying and it's hard to stop. And this is exactly why I wanted to talk about this in today's video, because we've seen Respawn experiment with ways to limit third parties in the game in the past. I'll give an example. The original idea for Seer's ultimate was not to be able to scan enemies that move within the ultimate. Instead, the ability was to trap all sound within that ultimate. So if you're fighting an enemy squad within the Seer ult, and basically what that means is unless an enemy team somehow runs right past you, no one's gonna know that you're currently fighting at the moment, which means you're most likely not gonna get third party. However, of course, they later scrapped that and they changed it to what Seer has at the moment. A scan ability, you know, something that we see in like 2,000 other legends. But anyways, my point is, based on the legends that we've gotten so far after Seer, and based on some of the leaked abilities we see for some future legends as well, it doesn't really seem like many of these legend abilities are geared towards stopping third parties or preventing third parties. My guess is that Respawn decided having something like Seer's original ultimate ability, which makes it super hard for a third party to find you, well, perhaps that's a bit too overpowered and they don't really want that to be in Apex. But here's why I'm gonna stop with my opinion, because I want to know what you guys think. Do you think Respawn should continue to add legends with abilities that are geared towards stopping third parties, or do you think Respawn should just continue to make map changes or perhaps introduce new items that could do the same thing? But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I hope this made your day just a little bit better. Let me know what you think about the whole third partying thing, and of course, as always guys, stay safe and I'll see ya in the next one. Peace out.